Hi, so my name is Sam and I am the creator of Beautifully Balanced, offering yoga and Zumba classes, what was in Derby, but is now in fact available to everybody via Zoom online. So I wanted to just share a little bit about my story. Maybe some of you can relate to this because it's Mental Health Awareness Week. And I think in the past few years, mental health has become more of a commonplace phrase. But I know some of us still suffer and don't really tend to say a lot. So I just really wanted to shout out and say that everybody really does have their own stories, their own battles, and through different times of our lives, I think we can experience different mental factors. For me, I struggled a lot with migraines, with stomach problems, seeing various different consultants, various different tests, and just not getting anywhere with that really. And some doctors even telling me that there's absolutely nothing they can do. And I really thought, is this what my life is going to be like now for the rest of it? And mentally that was pretty challenging. But I've completely come out of the other side of that after having a bit of a meltdown back in 2015. I finally realised that the life I was living was really not helping my stress, my anxiety, which in turn led me to having migraines, bad stomach, etc. So I think one of the biggest things that changed for me was initially this idea of being a little bit kinder to myself. We can think about what advice would we offer a friend when maybe we're actually not so kind with the advice that we give ourselves. What is the internal mind chatter that we're having? Are we putting ourselves down? Are we giving ourselves a hard time? Would you actually say that to a friend or family member? And we get stuck in these habits, in these conversations, in our minds, in the stories that we have grown up with, which might not always serve us well. And I think one of the biggest things for me was learning yoga, because although I thought it was going to be boring and slow, that was in fact exactly what I needed, because it gives me some space. I'm on the mat with no phone, no distractions. And as I get into the practice, whether I feel like it or not, once I get on the mat and once I get started, then I start to feel the tension releasing in my body. My mind starts to slow down as my breath slows down. And all of a sudden, my whole mind, body, and my energy levels feel completely different. When I really feel like doing nothing, then it's really, really great just to do some gentle yoga stretches. And a lot of people start off with yoga thinking about how the poses are going to look. Am I doing it right? When actually in time, you can become to realize that it is an inside process also. And you can become more aware of your tendencies, of your habits, of your thought patterns, and start to actually just notice and observe those and realize that they're not you. They're actually just a part of you that you can actually have some control over. So all this might sound familiar, or it might sound a little bit foreign. But what I would urge you to do is, if you're feeling anxious and if you're feeling stressed, is to try and slow down. You cannot feel panicked when you're breathing slowly. So really, really, the first step is to focus on the breath. That can help to bring you into the present moment, because we can spend a lot of time thinking about the past, which some people say links to depression. And we can spend a lot of time worrying about what might happen in the future. And particularly at the moment, we don't have many answers for what the future is going to be. But what we can do is create new patterns and new habits, new ways of being that are going to serve us well in the weeks and months to come as lockdown begins to ease. So now is the time to do some reflection. It might not be comfortable, it might not be easy. What is it that is not serving you well? What is it that creates tension in your mind and in your body? How can you reduce that and relieve it? I was on a Yoga Nidra course a couple of weeks ago, and actually we were talking about stress, and there's a bit of a stress equation about the number of stressful events that you've got over or divided by your ability to cope. So in order to reduce stress, we can either reduce the number of stressful situations that we are in, or we can try and increase our toolbox to help us to manage and cope and deal with stress. Okay, so we can do a little bit of both, reducing those stressful situations and increasing the tools that we have. And yoga offers so many tools: the breathing, the mindset, the slowing down, the easing of the tension, bringing the mind and the body together, and helping you to come back home to yourself. You spend so much of the time externally looking for validation. Is this okay? What do people think? Yoga is a time to practice letting go of all that, letting go of the ego, and just being yourself on the mat, bringing your shiny bits and maybe a few shadows with you as well, and just experiencing it and being who you are as you are. So yeah, yoga is great for your toolbox, along with a range of other holistic activities as well. So if you fancy joining me, do drop me a message. You can find out more details on my website, www.beautifullybalance.online. If you want to have a look at any blog posts, have a look at my podcast. I've got over a dozen episodes on there now, where you can access some free content about reducing stress, other holistic tools like sound therapy, talking therapies, and see how you can boost your wellbeing toolbox. So thanks so much for listening. From my home to yours, look after that mental health. Bye for now.